Frigidaire. We introduced the first home freezer, the first pulsator agitator washer, and now we introduce the Frigidaire Orbit Clean dishwasher, designed with a unique wash arm that gives you 4 times more water coverage for a consistently better clean. Frigidaire, over 90 years of legendary innovation.
See the full line of Frigidaire appliances at Ventura TV Electronics and Appliances.
Hi, I'm John Mallos. Welcome to this live edition of Connect with me on the showroom floor at Ventura TV on this Friday morning. Today we're going to be talking about several topics, but mainly we're going to be talking about water and what happened at the water meeting yesterday morning at Fresno City Hall. Of course, the council members decided to delay that vote. We're going to have a guest here in the studio live on the showroom floor at Ventura TV. You can call in at 436-MeTV, option 11. Do turn down the sound, though, when you call in. Back in just a moment.
Tonight I want to discuss the importance of the television medium to the American people.
And welcome back to the program here on the showroom floor at Ventura TV. You're watching us live on Comcast Channel 187, 43.6. Of course, here, Connect with me on the showroom floor. And this is a Friday morning and a lot to get to today. We're going to mainly be talking about the water issue and what happened yesterday at Fresno City Hall. But first, I want to get to that plane that went down yesterday in the eastern part of Ukraine. It was Malaysian Flight 17. It was a Boeing 777, shot down out of the air 33,000 feet over the eastern half of Ukraine, right near the Russian border. It was blown right out of the sky. Now, the U.S. intelligence officials are saying at this point, at least they're saying right now, President Obama did not allude to this in his news conference earlier this morning, but U.S. intelligence officials believe that it was pro-Russian separatists that side with Russian President Vladimir Putin. Those are the ones that used a sophisticated ground-to-air missile system to shoot this plane down. 298 passengers were on board. We get the latest in this report now from the Associated Press.
Ukrainian President Petro Poroshenko called the downing of a Malaysian Airlines passenger plane in his country's airspace an act of terrorism. Officials say the plane carrying 295 was shot down.
I just finished a conversation with the Prime Minister of the Netherlands. I offered our condolences on behalf of the Ukrainian people and invited Dutch experts to open an investigation of this act of terrorism. I would like to bring your attention to the fact that we are not calling it a disaster or an accident, but an act of terrorism.
Both the government and the pro-Russia separatists fighting in the region denied any responsibility, while Prime Minister of the self-proclaimed People's Republic of Donetsk, Alexander Borodai, has accused Ukrainian air forces of shooting down the plane.
A passenger aircraft has been shot down. Indeed, shot down by Ukrainian air forces. To tell the truth, this is a provocation on purpose. In principle, this is not the first time for Ukraine to shoot down passenger aircrafts.
The plane was traveling from Amsterdam to Kuala Lumpur. President Barack Obama called the incident a terrible tragedy.
Right now, we're working to determine whether there were American citizens on board. That is our first priority, and I've directed my national security team to stay in close contact with the Ukrainian government. The United States will offer any assistance we can to help determine what happened and why.
An Associated Press journalist counted at least 22 bodies at the crash site, 25 miles from the Russian border. Salim Es-Said, Associated Press.
In the meantime, the other big story coming out of the Middle East, Israel has launched a ground invasion into Gaza, and that means that they want to try to help stop that rocket fire coming from Palestinian militants. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu blames Hamas, which rules the Gaza Strip. The mission for Israeli soldiers is to destroy tunnels used to smuggle arms into Israel. This happening after 10 days of bombardment, and a Well, I think an Egyptian-sponsored ceasefire that actually failed. Hamas promised that Israel would pay a heavy price for the invasion. By this morning, 17 Palestinians were killed in that ground invasion attack. Back here on the showroom floor now and talking about today's main topic, and that is water. Let me hold up today's Fresno Bee. It's right on the front page along with the jetliner that went down on the eastern part of Ukraine. It says water study delays vote. Here's what happened yesterday, and as you know, we had Mark Standrift, the city spokesman, in here yesterday for Connect with Me for the better part of a half an hour talking about this. City Council, they went into chambers yesterday, then they came out and decided to delay the vote as to whether or not to approve a ballot measure. That would be W, that stands for water, that would go on the ballot. Of course, it's a measure that would go on the ballot in November. They delayed the vote. So here's what happens. If they don't approve it by August the 8th, it can't go on the November ballot. They have to wait until June of next year. So what's going to happen is they're going to delay this vote for 2 weeks, and then the mayor will come back and say, well, am I going to veto it? Am I going to approve it? If she vetoes it, then the council has the option of coming back and overriding that veto, but they're going to go on their summer break, so they may not meet that August 8th deadline. Thus, the council, I think, shirked their own duties as politicians. They're claiming on the one side that they need the power because that's what they were voted into office for, is to make these kinds of decisions and vote for these kinds of policies, yet they didn't want to take a vote. So, what are they doing? They're letting these water rates go up, they're delaying a vote, and it's affecting you, the viewers. You know, I rarely comment or make commentary about such things here on this program, but I have to comment on this. It was an absolutely gutless move by the city council. Sal Quintero, I think, is the only one that didn't vote on this, but all the rest, so they're putting this on the backs of the mayor that wants these water rate increases for a $200 or $400 million upgrade to their water system on the eastern side of Fresno County. That's because they want those water rights in there. So what do you think? 436-MeTV option 11. Live in our studio right now is Doug Vagim, the man who's been fighting City Hall this entire time. Yesterday he got into a verbal jousting match with Lee Brand of the City Council. He is here to talk about that and much more in terms of answering your questions. You should be outraged because the City Council, they had a chance to vote on this and they didn't. They should have yesterday. What do you think? 436-MeTV, option 11. We're back on this program in just a moment.
When you like Ventura TV Appliance on Facebook, it's nice. But when you love the Samsung big screen we deliver, it's even better. Our website is cool, and it's a good place to start. But you really should touch the merchandise before you buy. Time for that upgrade to an HD 3D web-enabled Samsung TV. Get the best selection, price, and service in town without waiting. Come in to Ventura TV Appliance and touch the merchandise today.
Hey, we have a call right off the bat here. I want to welcome in Doug Vagim. How are you, Doug? Good to see you, my friend. You're back again for the 1,000th time.
Yeah,
not.
You can have me a million times. I'm happy to be here.
All right. Good morning, caller. You're on the air with Doug Vagim. What do you think about what happened yesterday? Hey, caller, you there?
Yes.
Go ahead. You're on the air. What's your question?
Doug, yesterday, the P&R man from the mayor's office was on, and I asked him about the Proposition 218, and he only spoke to his half of the 218, not to the rights of the people for voting and repealing and stuff like this. Could you please tell the truth of what the real and show that they are not telling the voters the truth concerning Proposition 218 and their rights? Thank you, Doug.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Well, first of all, as far as the city spokesman, Mr. Sandriff, I just want to say that I think he's an articulate spokesman. He's a heck of a nice guy. I've gotten to meet him on the trail. You know, he's following me around, or I'm bumping into him, or whatever. But he's doing his job, okay? And he's carrying the message for the city, and he's doing the job that I believe that he was given, and a picture that he was given to paint for the public, and that's fine. I find no fault with that. But there is a whole another side of this story, And yes, caller, you're absolutely right. They're thinking of the government first and the people second. However, they're couching this in their minds. If they think of government first, the people will get what they deserve or need, or bare minimums a system that is adequate. I like to reverse that thought, that let's look at the people and bring it back up, ground up, back to the people.
What's the flip side of 218, like the caller was asking? Because you know Proposition 218 inside out. I read it several times online. It's a little convoluted to read it online unless you're an attorney. The way it's worded, it's got attorney lingo in there. It doesn't have common folk lingo in there. So Prop 218, does it say it gives you the right to go ahead and put this on the ballot, or what exactly in your mind, how do you read 218?
Well, let me give a little cursor. I'm not an attorney, but I read it over and over again, and you have to be able to go back and forth, and any citizen, most legislation should be written for any citizen
to be able to read
it. But if you have time, because there are points within every one of these legislative acts, particularly the federal, but not so much the state, but there is plenty of this, and that is that they bounce around and point at other chapters and things like that in the code section, where you got to go leaf back through. Well, thank God for the internet and our ability to go back and forth. We can do that fairly easy now. In the old days, you had to sit down in a dusty library and do it. But now,
I know, but you have to also be careful about what's true and not true out there.
Well, you have to analyze it and walk through, and then you have to start asking questions, which I did over the years, because I was, as you know, a county board supervisor. 218 came into play when I was a board member. It was passed when I was a board member. I supported 218. As a matter of fact, the vast majority of the people of California, and particularly this county, carried it. And I would imagine if you asked Mr. Sandriff, Mayor Swearingen, and any member of that council, they would say, yeah, I supported 218.
Guaranteed.
Because it protects the people's right, like Proposition 13 did, on everything else that 13 didn't cover.
Okay, explain it the way you explained it to me last night, because Proposition 218 does what? It forces a vote on everything, but there are 3 exemptions. What are those 3 exemptions?
Solid waste,
sewer,
and water. Those are the general 3 big municipal services that any agency up and down this state are providing to the people.
So let's explain this fully so the viewers understand it. If a government or a city, like the city of Fresno, wants to increase a tax, wants to put an assessment tax on something, they have to take public vote, right? It has to go to the vote of the people, right?
Proposition 218 takes 2 steps. Step A, let's call it Step A and Step B.
Okay.
Step A is a protest notice.
That you get in the mail.
You get in the mail, not for anything but sewer and water and solid waste. So let me step back a minute.
All right.
It's a protest notice. Now, for all those items that are not exempted, the 3 items, solid waste, water, and sewer, the protest notice is a public notice through the newspapers, through media, through a printing in your website, the agency's website, that there's a meeting notice happening. They will send a notice if it's a small district or a small county water association or something. They will send the association a piece of mail that you're getting a notice. Or if it's so small, they'll mail to every one of them. But you can't do that in a city this size. Just to mail a notice for.
What you're saying is, if the city wants to raise taxes on anything or raise your rates on anything, it has to go to a public vote, with the exception of solid waste, sewer, and water.
That's correct.
So that's where this issue falls in. It's the exemption.
We're in Step A right now. We did not leave Step A in solid waste, sewer, or water. You don't leave Step A. Okay. Step A for the assessments becomes a Step B, because they got to mail out a ballot. And everything else.
All right.
But they just need a public hearing to do that, okay?
Right.
And
Step A is the mailer, then a public hearing.
No, Step A for exemptions, for the exempted ones, is the protest notice goes out for the notice of the meeting.
Which already happened.
With
the water.
With everybody who's a consumer.
Okay.
Well, no, I say that. I mean, it could be everybody as consumer. City took the language strictly out of the law that has been amended by legislation, by the way. The California Constitution was written broad. The legislature came back and put a lot of things in there that allowed cities to do things like put the notice in the bill, and count that. But they also said that tenants, quote unquote, are equal to landowners.
Yeah.
Quote unquote. Okay. City says, well, we're not going to take that definition. We're just going to go with the strictest, most easiest way, and we're going to mail only to property owners who has their name on the assessed valuation. That's out of the assessment rolls, not out of the rolls of the bills.
It's so convoluted, Doug.
And that's what the way they did. And I disagree with that. And most counties or cities up and down the state that have really looked at this, including the city of San Diego, have decided they need to mail to tenants.
All right, were chambers packed yesterday?
No.
Well, I mean, where is the outrage? Don't people understand what the council did yesterday was totally un-American? They are elected to vote. They skirted their responsibilities, as I said in the monologue. They should have voted on this thing. That's why they're in office. And they delayed this thing by 2 weeks, so the water rates within that period of time are going to go up. And if it gets delayed again, it doesn't go on until the June ballot of 2016, our water rates will continue to go up.
Two more
steps.
Right.
So where is the outrage from Fresno residents who should have packed that chamber yesterday?
Right.
Can you answer that?
Well, look.
I'm outraged.
A 9:30 a.m. hearing, which I disagreed with. I was hoping they put it at 5.
They purposely did that too?
Well, they had the original rate setting at 5. I asked them, why don't you put it at 5 like you did with your original rate?
Why didn't they?
Well, you're going to have to ask them. I want to be, at this point, John, I'm as ready to answer any question you have, but I'm going to tone it down just a little bit because I want them to settle down a little bit too, if you know what I mean. And I would hope that we get this on.
Where's the outrage, though?
Well, I want to speak to the people, and that is there's plenty of people out there when they're made aware of it, and believe it, a lot of people are aware of this until they open their bills up and then they get shocked.
Yeah.
But there's this other thing that's really more concerning to me, John, is that people have lost hope. They've lost hope that they have any redress of their government. They've lost hope that the elections seem to be wired, and only the people who can raise the most money out of a small group of people who fund them are the ones that are going to get elected. The general guys who may be interested in really fighting for the people are just washed aside. So they've lost hope. People don't show up for elections. That's proven. We have some of the lowest downturns in election turnouts in the history of this state and country. So the answer is, well, we're going door to door. We're going to the community, and we're finding out when people are made aware of it. They are outraged. But can they leave their jobs and come downtown at 9:30 in the morning? Most of them can't.
They knew that, so that's why they put it at 9:30 or 10:30 or whatever
I
it
would
was.
say, 9:30 is the cause why a lot of people weren't there. Not necessarily that they did this deliberately. I'm going to give them a little room to move in. At this point, because I'm a part of
Really, Doug. You're going to cut them some slack on that, huh? Okay. Caller, you're on the air. Go ahead. What's your question? Hello, caller. Anybody there?
Hi. With all this thing going on about water, I just want to know if you guys can give me an estimate of what water is really worth. You know what I mean? I mean, as a veteran, when I was here in the States, I wouldn't have gave $1 for a bottle of water. But when I was overseas or stationed somewhere else, I'd have paid $1 million for a bottle of water. You know what I mean?
Right.
I know this water thing is pretty, I mean, it just confuses me because I know water is something everybody needs, but what is the city of Fresno's really, what are they trying to get here? I mean, what are they really after? Are they using water to gain something else?
Yeah, well, water.
Or I mean, I just want to know what is the city of Fresno's real goal in this? I mean, is it to, to enrich the city coffers or something like that? Thank you.
Sure. Well, look, water is a precious resource, but it's also a natural resource, and we have a bountiful amount of water through our system just because where we are. We're under a huge aquifer that no one even knows how big it is. The U.S. Geological Service admits they don't know how the breadth and the depth of this aquifer under our feet. We have a responsibility to it, though. We shouldn't overdraft it. We shouldn't try to pollute it and all that. So how much is water worth? You're exactly right. If you have no water, it's worth a lot. If you have sufficient water, it's worth the value to the people to get it to them, because our water, we pay nothing for our water except the cost to convey it and the cost back to the federal government for some in arrears cost to build that dam, which was a kind of a strange thing that came up later. But the fact of it is the water we take is our people of this city's right to have that water. How it comes to us how we continuously be able to supply the water to a growing city is what the city is saying they need to do. And we're not disagreeing with them, John. We say, but there's a ton of other ways to do it, number one. And number two, there's a ton of other ways to pay for it.
Well, maybe you can explain some of those other ways when we come back after the break here on Connect With Me, 436-MeTV, option 11. I'll ask the question again, where is the outrage about what happened yesterday? Even in some of the media coverage, they kind of glossed over it, except for Channel 30 did not gloss over it. The Bee kind of explained it today in Hostetter's piece. But where is the outrage on your part when your water bill's going up and the City Council not voting on an issue that is critical to your household needs and your pocketbook? Back with our show in a moment.
Don't you ever hit me again!
Chief, I think we got a hit on our hands.
MeTV Fresno, now on Comcast Channel 187.
All right, where's the outrage, I ask, here on the water issue? That is Measure W. We got a call coming in. All right, good morning, caller. You're on the air. What's your question? Hello? Hey, caller, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
You're on the air, my friend. Go ahead, quick.
Now that we're on the subject of talking about water, I heard that they're trying to recycle water now and all. They're trying to recycle the water, all that stuff. Is that a good idea?
Yeah, they're talking about recycling water. That's a different issue. But go ahead and talk about that.
Well, quickly, the federal, state government has mandated each community and statewide to have a 330,000 acre feet statewide to be in a recycled mode. And the city has grabbed they said they're going to try to do 25,000 acre feet eventually. Right now they have about 3,000 to 7,000 acre feet. It's non-potable water, and one of the issues that they're going to have to be faced with is how to keep unattended children from going in there and drinking out of it. It's not deadly water, but it's got high in nitrates and that kind of stuff. And the first thing someone comes back through and says that they got a little zygote in their stomach because they drank the non-potable water, there's going to be some issues. So the communities are going headlong on this without thinking about some of those impacts, I believe.
Yeah, you got to be careful because let's say fountain water downtown or something. Right. If there's a fountain and that's not drinkable water, and somebody goes in and swallows it.
If they make a fountain and they go in and swallow, or they have an irrigation system that they put on the surface and it's got a sprinkler that's non-potable and a kid goes over there and plays with it.
So there are some ramifications.
Oh, absolutely. And heretofore, the people who have been doing non-potable water have been very safeguarded about it by putting it away from the public, putting fencing up. Now they're trying to intermingle it with the public, and we haven't covered that ground yet. So they're gonna find out what happens.
Well, the thing is,
but
Doug,
it's neat. I think it's a great idea, though. Let me just say this.
Yeah, recycled water is a good idea.
Well, if it's recycled, and of course they're doing what's called a tertiary, and they're taking it down to something called Title 22, and that's an EPA talk, okay? But it's still high in nitrates. You can't drink it, and the only way you can get it into water that leaves the non-potable water is like a 7 or 8 to 10 to 1 dilution.
Yeah.
And so you're using as much water as you're trying to save to dilute this water. So you're going to keep it in a non-potable state at all points.
Hey, listen out there, all you viewers out there, 436-MeTV option 11. I know you're not outraged now, but when you get your bill in a couple of years, you will be. Believe me, your pocketbooks will be affected thanks to your elected city officials, council members, and the mayor, Ashley Swearingen. Good morning, caller. You're on the air. Are you a little outraged today? Are you not?
Yes, hello. You know, I was wondering who should actually pay for the water. For example, if a new development comes in, should the city or some agency pay for the extension of the water, or should that be bared on the developer themselves? And if so, wouldn't that stifle economic development? That's just the question I would like to know. Should the developer pay for the entire cost, or should they pay it proportional? And why should I pay for a developer? Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks.
Good. Great question.
Yeah. First of all, let me just explain the way the city's policy has been up to this time frame. There's been called pay-as-you-go. and that is a developer would come in and get an entitlement on a piece of land to go do development. And
tax breaks?
No, not necessarily. Tax breaks are really a statewide thing, and the city really hasn't handed out tax breaks for development, except perhaps things like the GAP or something like that. Those are different issues, and those are manufactured.
Big-time developers don't get a tax assessment break or anything like that?
No, I don't believe. I've never seen one, unless there's one that I don't know about. But they pay the basic tax. They pay all the taxes, but it's front-loaded, where the developer puts in the well and all the costs. That's changed now. They want us to put in all the costs, and that's why the debt has gone way up. So
naturally. Yeah. Another call coming in. Good morning, caller. What's your question? Hello, caller.
Yes, hello.
Yeah.
I'd like to see Doug Vagim become our next mayor. Is there any chance of him running?
I'm not running for anything but running to get your water rates down and make a fair and more economical way for this city to give people ample water and not beat their wallets up to a point where they can no longer even afford to water their lawns. Let's get this done and get it satisfactorily done to the people. Right now, we're fighting so hard to do that. Any interjection of anything else would be off topic for me. So I want to thank you for the sentiment, but
yeah. So have those thoughts crossed your mind at all?
No.
No, they haven't. Another call coming in? No. Okay, caller is gone. But I mean, when you get your bill, I want to put some videotape up on the screen here. Go ahead and roll it. We got some water video. All right, precious commodity right now. This is like liquid gold, my friends. Water in this area is like gold. There you are, watering your lawns. All right, that's a precious commodity right there. That may be a thing of the past, Doug. We're watering 3 times a week now in Fresno. It may go down to 2 yesterday, as per Nora Lakem. However, it may go down to 1 day a week, and there are a lot of people putting in artificial turf because they don't want to deal with this situation.
Right, they're putting in artificial turf at $7 and $8 a square foot.
Yeah, very expensive.
Very expensive. And then when you take out the trade out, but every 10 years it fades out and becomes bleach blonde. It does, and you have to trade it out.
Artificial turf does?
Yes, it does. And that's why
After how many years?
About 7 to 8 to 10 years.
Well, I mean, by that time it's probably a little worn out anyway.
Well, of course, but that means the cost you have to restart. And so when you do a pencil to it,
yeah,
it equals about the same amount of money having natural turf.
All right, another call coming in. I love all these calls. I mean, where's the outrage? All right, caller, you're on the air. Go ahead, quickly. Hello.
Hi.
Hi, speak up. Go ahead. We can't hear you.
Why can't we do a pipeline from, like, the states that are flooded?
Well, the cost of moving a pipeline, and first of all, you have water rights issues in those states. It becomes very complicated, as anybody knows. The Colorado River issue is a very complex, and that was done at a time when they didn't have so many laws that we do today, when you could just do about anything in a capital
So
project.
in an emergency situation, if the state of Colorado is experiencing a lot of flooding because of snow melt, I'm just using it as an example. I'm not saying that's going on now, but I'm using that as an example. In an emergency situation, they couldn't get that water here?
Well, first of all, that all comes at once, the flooding.
Yeah.
Now, where are you going to put it? The pipes aren't going to take all of it at once. So you're going to have a pipe as big as the Hoover Dam or something to move that through the Colorado Rockies all the way.
And you can't truck something like that in.
No, you'd have 10,000 trucks and your air pollution would go up to 10 times just for that. Look, we have...
Well, how do you get it here then? How would you get it here?
Well, I don't think we need to get it here. We got it here. It's here. It's ours. It belongs to us. We just have to judiciously...
But we're short of water.
Well, the reason why we're short of water, the federal government and their policies and not being able to solve their erroneous mistakes that they've done in the environmental world to overreach on making water go to the ocean has caused this problem. It's caused the farmers to pump more, has caused the delta to start getting impacted more because more water is being moved through there than ever expected before. Look, there's ways to solve this. It's federal government, but we have a local problem here, and our folks are trying to solve it on their own without a regional concept and without the fact that we need. You could have a biggest water plant as you could ever have in where the city wants to put it, but if you have no water running in the river, what good is it?
Are the council members taking advantage of the situation?
I hope.
Did they take advantage of it yesterday?
Didn't say much except Mr. Lee Brown. You know something? I appreciate the dialogue. I think we need more of that, John. I really do. Because
But you accuse him of not telling the truth.
Well, there is not a lot of truth in what the city has put out on their websites and stuff like that.
You called him out on several things.
I did.
And
he tried to call me out, but I think I only pointed out one point was a decimal point error or something like that. We took it off. They still have a report on their website, and the report they depend on to do their rate setting, by the way, that says there's only 10,000 people
so
in this
what was
town.
that verbal jousting match about?
Well, it was a dialogue. I don't call it a verbal. I mean, he was trying to make it in an accusatory standpoint, and I think it was the wrong framework to do that. But I would enjoy and love to have a dialogue, give and take, sparky or not. I don't have a problem with that. But let's get it out. Let's get it on the table and have these discussions. Let each one of us point out our errors. Let each one of us add new stuff to something to look at in a meaningful way, not just this one session as a council where someone's going to try to take you up and pant you in front of everyone by embarrassing you with some figures that are not true.
Yeah, so another call coming in. All right, caller, you're on the air. Good morning. What is your question, please? Go ahead. Hey, caller.
Hi.
Hi, you're on the air. Go, man. Speak up. Go ahead.
My question is, a lot of people want to build new reservoirs or increase reservoirs by building new dams or increasing the height of new dams. How come we just can't store water in Lake Tulare? It's been there for eons, and it would save us a lot of money. Thank you.
Yeah, well, if you want to go out and buy the big farmers out that took that lake over and drained it, they'll probably have about a $2 to $3 billion charge for that. Unfortunately, though, you can't unring that bell. But there are solutions for raising our dams, not necessarily building new ones. And there's also the Temperance Flat, which is a dam above Friant, which will give double that storage up there.
Prior to the other break that we had, you mentioned that there are other ways than building the Taj Mahal. All right, that's Temperance Flat right there. That's what we're talking about. Maybe building a dam above Millerton. And Temperance has been talked about, but I've also heard people say that, you know what? Don't build this thing if you're going to treat this the same way you're treating Millerton. If you're going to let all that water run down, then what's the point of spending billions and billions of dollars on a dam that's not going to really be used?
That problem has to be solved. And I'm not saying that the environmental purposes for why we have what we have today is not true. There is but there's a happy point, John, and they've overreached.
Right, but I want to get back to the water rates because I want to put those up on the screen right now, and I want to go back to the 2013 rates. Leave that up there for a moment. You said before the last break that there are other ways other than building the Taj Mahal of water treatment plants, and there are other ways to generate revenue. What other ways other than this are there? Be specific, if you would, and jump ahead to 2016 and what your rates are going to be.
Okay, the plant they have now.
What else could they do?
Well, they have a pad right next to the plant where they have a 30 million gallon a day plant that is ready to go for 1/10 or 1/3 the cost of this plant. So in other words, they could double their treatment surface water.
So what's this one that they want? It's going to be about $200 or $400 million.
Well, it's 200. It's 243 for the plant and close to $70-80 million for the manifold.
Okay, so it's between $200 and $400 million.
Well, it's just take 1/3 off of 410.
Yeah,
and that's what the water plant and its feeder system will cost.
All right, so what's wrong with building that? I'm going to be the devil's advocate. Okay, I'm going to be the Mark Standriff here, and I'm going to say to you, Doug Vagim, what's wrong with building that Taj Mahal? We need it.
Okay, let's just say if there's no other alternative, which there are alternatives,
such as
water recharge. There's systems that have what they call forced recharge versus just static recharge.
Right.
There's smaller water plants like the one that they have up north. They have a brand new water plant. I call it brand new. It's been there for 5 years. Cost us $30 million. It can't even turn on. Now, is that an example of a boondoggle? Is that an example? If you do that with a $30 million, what are you going to do with a $280 million? Those are questions that should be answered, right?
And they can't turn it on
because? They can't turn it on, right.
Because?
Well, I think they overran PG&E. PG&E can't. So that's not a very bright thinking, is it? Now, are they thinking too far and not thinking enough about drought situations on how sustained? Because they could be out of Kings River water eventually. Because they don't own Kings River water. The association owns Kings River water. They have entitlements to their reservation in the lake at any one time, but they can't take it all at one time. And even if they have this water plant and they try to take it all, where are they going to send it? Like, they're selling our water right now to the west side, some ag districts, making over $1 million a year on it, right now.
Yeah.
But they say we're out of water.
Right.
There's something.
So you're bringing other alternatives by suggesting there are other water treatment plants in existence right now that they could be using.
That's right.
Okay. Yeah, I know I got to go to break, but I want to finish this issue here, and that is, are there other ways to generate revenue besides jacking up our water rates?
Yes, there's plenty of ways. And
such as?
Well, first of all, we talked about that with Mr. Brand, and that one of them is the benefit assessment concept. That's one part of it.
Benefit assessment concept, what is that?
Okay, you have that on your tax bill right now.
Okay.
If you look at your property tax bill, there's a benefit assessment on there by Metropolitan Flood Control District.
Okay.
Every one of us is paying a proportional cost on our property tax for their big projects.
So you'd suggest upping that?
That is a flat rate that doesn't go up by your use. It stays by the capital cost, and it goes down each year.
How much would you suggest raising that?
Well, you're going to probably, I'd say a $20 to $30 bill on everybody's property would do everything that they would talk about that would equal this $48 a month.
So just put a $20 flat fee.
Well, I'm not going to come up with
Right.
because there's more than one way to come up with revenue. That a benefit assessment on new development, it could be added also, and a district-wide assessment could be done also, which will be a flat rate. By the way, John, the only money that comes through that is the money that's calculated each and every year to go pay off the debt, okay? And no more money pays in it. Guess what happens with the concept of the city's doing? They get all the money flowing into a big trough, big trough, and they only take out that little bit to write the check to the bondholders that year, and the rest of the money sits in that trough. Okay?
For what?
For future year's payment. But guess what they do with it? Like they've already proven what they do with it.
They spend it.
For stadium things and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then they put an IOU in its place.
Why are they doing that?
Well, because...
they can.
They can. Yeah. And
I don't know.
And they can sue to stop people from bringing it up.
And so they can, isn't that being irresponsible as a politician?
You bet it is. I believe it is. Yeah, but again, I want to make sure we dampen down because we want to calming.
The frustration continues here on Connect with Me, 436 MeTV option 11. I'm surprised you're not burning up the phone lines here. You're going to be burning up the phone lines in a couple of years when you find out what your water bill is going to be once it triples in 2016. Back with Doug Vagim in just a moment.
When you like Ventura TV Appliance on Facebook, it's nice. But when you love the Whirlpool appliances we deliver, it's even better. Our website is cool, and it's a good place to start. But you really should touch the merchandise before you buy. Touch the new Whirlpool Ice Collection. It offers a modern style made to create an inspiring kitchen experience. Save big on this Whirlpool Black Ice or White Ice kitchen. Come in to Ventura TV Appliance and touch the merchandise today.
Hey, back here on the program, Connect with Me on Comcast Channel 187 and 43.6. You're welcome to call in. Phone lines are open at 436 MeTV option 11. Do call in. Do turn down your sound if you are calling in. And so I saw the piece that Channel 30 did yesterday. They interviewed you twice during the piece. Gene Hagenson did the story. Very, very thorough job.
And Gene's been following the story from time one.
Very thorough.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the piece, you were outraged, and you showed I think you could tell that you were really, I mean, you had the vein on the side of the neck popping out there a little bit. So you basically said, I forget what the quote is. I wish we could play the story, but we can't. You said something like, this is your city council at action, in action, at its best, or something like that.
Well, probably
I'm paraphrasing. Okay, what did you mean by that?
Well, what they did yesterday, John, was, I think, a calculated and deliberate act to throw this in the mayor's lap, to make her have skin in the game. And unfortunately, I didn't want.
She doesn't want skin in the game, does she?
Well, she's been.
She's going to have to.
Well, yeah, because if she does not, she has a 10-day period before anything in the city council on most items, not all, but most items.
A 10-day period to decide whether she's going to veto
or not do anything.
Or not do anything.
It doesn't become action until 10 days.
What if she doesn't veto it within 10 days?
Well, then it's too late to get it on the ballot.
And she's going to do that, you venture to say?
Well, she has to sign. Now she has to sign something before August 8th or on August 8th at 4 p.m. and make Miss Javon Spence run over to the thing by 5 to Brandy.
a call coming in. Good morning. You're on Connect with Me. Your question. Hello, caller.
Hello.
Hey, caller. You're on the air. Go ahead.
Okay. This is Chris.
Hi.
Yeah, my question is for all the water bottled companies. Yes, I'm speaking.
Go ahead, man. We're listening. Go ahead.
Turn down the sound, probably.
I was thinking.
Hey, can you do me a favor? Have you got your sound up on your TV? You got to turn that down.
Okay, yeah, I'll do that.
Turn that down, my friend. The beauty of live TV, right, Doug?
Right. Well, you got that button for me, so I won't.
Are we good now?
Yeah. You got to turn down the sound when you call in. All right, pal. Go ahead.
You can hear you.
Go ahead.
Okay, I'm sorry about that.
Go, man. Go.
I know that a lot of businesses they bottle water from our ground source.
What about it?
What's your question?
My question is, do they get paid a flat rate? I mean, or do they get paid more as a business as opposed to us just consumers, just regular people? Because
Are you trying to say the bottled water companies are getting something involved in this? Or is
some
that
kickback or
something like? Is that what you're trying to say? I'm trying to understand it.
Something like that, because I know people that work with bottled water companies, like in Merced County.
Yeah, I don't think so. I mean, they pay their water bill just like anybody else. The question on bottled water is it really filtered
What I'm
water?
saying is they use more water and they sell it. They outsource our water.
Well, that's true. It's not, well, so does a watermelon being delivered to the East Coast outsource our water too.
Yeah.
The question is exactly what is that combination of rightful water transfer, and is there an economic benefit to the valley for that, or to our communities? And right now, there's an economic benefit.
My question is, though, it's an obvious one. It's like common sense. Mm-hmm. Okay, if we're short of water, where are the bottled water companies getting their water from, and how come there isn't a shortage to produce this water, put it in a bottle, and sell it? They're still making money.
Well, a lot of bottled waters are, they call it from the mountain. You hear all the ads. That's a big controversy where bottled water companies actually get their water, or are they just filtering and extra filtering?
Yeah, but where are they getting the water from if we're short on water here?
Well, they're selling water, and when you
where are they getting it from?
Well, let's just say they're getting it here, right here, and the same source, and they're putting it and they're moving it out. Well, the fact of it is it's a production system of water. And when you add up the consumption or the amount that goes out the door with that, it's not as much as one would believe, because you're talking hundreds of thousands of gallons. We're talking about hundreds of thousands of acre feet of water, which is multiplied by 326,000 gallons. So times each acre foot.
They're not stealing our water. Stealing is the wrong word. They're not using our water for profit.
They're using water for an economic benefit, and so is ag. But by gosh, if we didn't have ag, we wouldn't have this community. So we have a balancing thing that we all have to. This takes a lot more discussion from a community to community.
I guess my point is instead of putting that water in a bottle, let us use it to shower and do other things. Why do we need bottled water?
Well, because people have turned to bottled water as a result of some of these water systems are just.
And it's a way for these bottling companies to make money.
Well, yeah, but they don't want they don't want the fluorinate, and they don't want all that other stuff.
Yeah. All right, go ahead, caller. You're on the air. Caller, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can just barely hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're coming in loud and clear. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I'll go ahead. Well, I was glad when they brought in the water meters. I thought it was a wonderful thing, and I have a water meter. But I also think that when I drive around town, drive around different towns and see lawns after lawns after lawns, they fertilize them, even my neighbors, then they have to water extra to keep the lawns from burning. Then they cut them down, then they fertilize them, and just a never-ending thing. If your neighbors and the whole valley can afford to pay for water to keep up a lawn, the water is too cheap. We'll realize we could just keep raising the rate till they stop doing the lawns, and I think that would fix a lot of it.
Thank you. That's a true statement, but it's also a true statement for gasoline. So we could raise gasoline to keep our traffic down by to go up $10, $12, $15, $20, and we wouldn't have any traffic. But people also wouldn't be able to get around, and they'd have to pick a bus schedule that doesn't go where they want to go. So yeah, there's always these trade-offs. I agree. But if you want to have America be locked into a box and have to do what government regulates them to do, that's the way to go. And I'm saying that isn't the way to go.
And is the council trying to lock us in a box and regulate what we do?
Well, there is a philosophy. The caller is right, and I think there's a balance to that. So the higher the rates, the more conservation, and we'll just stick it to them, and people won't use it. I think that's the wrong way to go, because at inverse, you hurt the people that can't afford it the least. The most, I'm saying, with the most impact, and it's just the wrong way to go.
I'm going to let my lawn go brown.
Well, a lot of people
Why
are.
wouldn't I?
Just drive over here on the way to the studio. Nice homes used to have green lawns are all now brown. It's a beautiful sight if you're into some kind of artist conception of what
it's
brown
amazing.
look like.
Salaries don't go up. The economy hasn't recovered totally yet, and the council, they want to stick it to us on water rates.
Well,
that's a great philosophy.
Well, on average, government per unit, and some people have taken hits, but the government costs salaries have gone up. So
all right, I've got to take a break, but let's take a call first real quick. Good morning, caller. You're on the air, and your question, please. Hello? Caller?
Oh, yes. Good morning, gentlemen.
You're on the air.
I was wondering, it's probably time for the woodshed, and as a citizens, what can we call City Hall, complain? What should we do? And I'll just take my answer off the air. Thank you so much, Doug.
Yeah, thank you. Show up at the council meetings and show your outrage.
621-8000. 621-8000 is the Fresno City main number for the mayor and the council.
Does that do any good to flood the phone lines?
If citizens and constituents who identify that they're a constituent of District 1 through 7, or the mayor, and they're concerned, they count those calls. Believe me, you've been flooded, and then any politician worries about what they're burning in the frying pan. Believe me.
Yeah.
And if they're burning it up, they.
But is this? I got to go to break. But Ashley Swearingen, the mayor of Fred, is this the kind of person you want in as state controller, playing politics with your pocketbook on this Measure G thing, like she did with our Measure W, I should say, like she did with Measure G? Playing politics. You want her as state controller? You want these council members back in office? You voted some of them back in. Anyway, 436 MeTV, option 11. Playing politics here on the show today. Back in a moment.
When you're looking for KitchenAid innovation and quality, who has the answers, the selection, the price? Ventura TV Appliance. With billions in nationwide appliance buying power, more than Home Depot and Best Buy combined, we'll help you save. Our low prices on Energy Star qualified KitchenAid appliances save you energy and money, and pay no interest on select models when paid in full within 12 months. Ventura TV Appliance, serving you since 1951.
Back here in the program talking to Doug Vagim, who was there yesterday at City Hall talking to members of the City Council, specifically his best friend, Lee Brand of the council there. And you get along with Lee, do you?
Oh, Lee's a great guy. And the fact of it is he had his concern. I think he had a motive there, which is unfortunate. But I enjoyed the dialogue, and I think we need more of it.
Yeah. See, I think Mark Standriff was here yesterday. He's the city spokesman now, and he was just basically saying is there's nothing wrong with what Doug Vagim is trying to do. He's doing a very noble thing. However, the question is it legal what he's doing, trying to put this thing on the ballot? Is it legal?
Well, 11 judges have already said yes, and the California Supreme Court has already said yes, but they keep saying, well, we really haven't asked that final question.
11 judges?
Yes.
How many times has this thing been thrown out?
Let's see, 3 times the Superior Court, 3 times at the Appellate Court, and 1 time at the Supreme Court.
Okay, as a result of the judges looking at this and saying, okay, I'm throwing your case out, or is he throwing the city's case out?
They've never thrown ours out. Whoever says that is not telling the truth.
Okay.
They threw the city's out with prejudice and don't come back.
How many times? 6 times?
Well, the last time they threw their main case out, City versus Vagim, they threw that out with prejudice. They tried to come back to ask the judge to rethink his with prejudice and all that, and the judge gave him 1 minute and says, you're out. I'm not changing my mind. Go do whatever you want to do, but you're out of here. Unbelievable short, curt hearing.
How long did that last? About a minute or two?
About a minute.
Really?
Yes.
All right. Now, you told me the other day that they're trying to prevent your attorneys from your side from being paid $160,000 or something like that.
Well, they filed motions to keep our attorneys from getting rightful attorney fees. Yes.
Why?
It's just part of the process of whatever.
And it's legal, huh? You can do that?
The city can do anything they want to do as long as the people don't raise their ire, yes.
And so I go back to the original question. Are these the people that you want in office? I mean, playing this kind of politics with your pocketbook. Here's Doug Vagim trying to save you some money from these water rates going up, but you're not disagreeing that they shouldn't go up. They can go up in small increments, right?
Everything needs maintenance. You got a phone, it goes up a little bit. You see your phone bill go up because they're maintaining it. But
there's maintenance. Yeah.
But when the telephone company or PG&E builds out in a new area where people are possibly going to grow in a community, they don't charge you.
Yeah. What would happen if your phone bill went up? This phone right here went up. But 3 times
your bill
in a span of 3 years, like
50,
with the
instead of 50 or 60, you went to 120 to 200.
Yeah, immediately
right.
within. Yeah, so that's the same thing that what you're talking about here. It's okay to go up only in small increments.
Well, and because you pay for your maintenance and your costs and your over your employees and that kind. They're trying to send a debt down our way through the faucet. And I'm saying don't do that. No one does that. No one does it. Schools don't do that. PG&E doesn't do it. No one. Now, maybe a small community may do it, but they're doing it only to get a federal grant, and it's a small amount of money to get a match for a federal grant to go build a water system or a sewer system, but not a $320 million bond to go to Wall Street that will cost this community $25 million in interest on average over the length of the time, to go to Wall Street, to go to New York City, not to Fresno streets. That's an interest. That's just the wrong way to do it.
$25 million in interest over the course of how many years?
Well, it's probably more than that, but I'm really downplaying the interest. But it's probably 320 would be like a $7 to $8 million interest per year is really what it would be.
Yeah, for how many years?
If they sold it all one year.
How many years?
Usually those things are
25 years. Yeah. All right, caller, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Yeah. I was calling to Chris on the phone.
Yeah, go ahead.
And I wanted to say that it was a gutless move for the city council not to vote on the water deal. It was their job to do so, and they should be held accountable for it. And what I want to ask Chris, why are they planting more trees if we have a water shortage on Herndon Avenue?
Good question.
Trees take water, and there's no doubt about it. And as a matter of fact, if the philosophy of some, and there are some, that says we ought to go back to rock gardens and cactus and all that kind of stuff, the temperature of this community will go up probably 10 to 20%.
Hey, I want to see if they're wasting water at City Hall to water their property over there. I wonder if they are at night. Nobody knows it.
Well, look, when all this complaining about water in the gutter and all that kind of stuff when people were driving around, 90% of those people are already metered to commercials and all that, and they have a sprinkler system that goes off in the middle of the night, but no one's around because they're all home.
They're sleeping.
They're sleeping in the water, and they don't see the broken sprinkler, right?
Yeah.
That's 90% of what people see. They've already got water meters, and they had water meters, and it's a commercial operation. It's not the homeowner. The homeowner will see his broken sprinkler.
Yeah. Do you have any kind of legal recourse against what the council did yesterday?
No.
Skirting their responsibilities.
No, the reason why they had the time to do what they did is they took 16 weeks out of our schedule with their lawsuits to refuse to allow us to be on the streets for 16 weeks. If we'd have had that 16 weeks back, we'd have been back way
Can't
earlier.
You file a motion and say, look, their responsibility to this community is to vote. That's what they were elected for, and they didn't vote.
Well, no, they took action. They're well within their right and their privilege as elected officials to do what they did. I think it was an unconscionable act based on the time frames and everything else, and the broader picture of the public wanting to have at this, and their articulation out of their own mouths. Yeah, we want the public to have at this, but yet they're playing this game.
Well, on one side of their mouth, they're saying, yes, we want this to go to a public vote. We agree with it. It's fine. You can go ahead. But yet they're not voting on it. They already have all the information, Doug. Why do they need 2 more weeks?
They got so much more information that I doubt if one person down there has read through it all. I tried to read through it all and glanced at it and found errors that I pointed out in their reports.
Right. Okay. Take another call here. Good morning. You're on Connect With Me.
Hey, good afternoon. They do research about the environmental impact about putting a dam above Millerton. Have they done environmental research about the underground pumping and about the wells going dry and the damage that's going on underneath the Earth's surface?
Okay, well, that's first of all, California law is a ownership of water under your feet. They're trying to probably change. That's going to be a big battle because right now, for the history of this state, that's been a paramount right by the property owner. Under your feet is your water. When you annex into the city of Fresno, you give up that right. That's the first thing they ask you to give up is your water rights.
Yeah.
And you give it to the city. So the city is engorged themselves with a lot of Kings River water rights because everyone's given up their water rights in the Kings River district. So that's how they get the Kings River water. The fact that environmental is being discussed right now on a broader issue, on the whole aquifer issue, and that's all being discussed, and it has to be done aquifer-wide, not just under your property alone.
All right, time to take a break here. We're going to come back on Connect with Me in just a moment with Doug Vagim, our final segment coming up.
From now on, when I sneeze, I'll try to sneeze more friendly.
All right, back here on Connect with Me. Just a couple of minutes left. 436-MeTV, option 11 if you want to call in. It's got to be quick, though. So, Doug, where do you go from here? I guess just wait and see. That's pretty much it, right?
Well, we're the public, and the public, I can ask the public to get busy. It's their issue.
What are you asking the public to do
Well,
now?
I want to ask them to do two things. They
What
call
can they do?
the 621-8000 number and talk to the mayor and how important it is for her to sign something right now to put it on the ballot, even though she says that she's all for this project.
If she's all for it, then she should be quick and swift with her action, right?
Well, yeah, but if she's all for it, maybe she would say, well, I'm so right, I don't even have to put it to the ballot. I hope that's still not lingering around somewhere, right? Because they fought us from doing this, right? Spent $500,000 from keeping us from doing.
What would happen if it ends up on the 2016 ballot? Between now and 2016, our water rates will go up?
Two more times, yes.
Okay, and then in 2016, if it goes on the ballot and you win, what happens to our water rates at that point?
Well,
will they go down?
Yeah, will go down, and they'll have the money in the trough. They'll have plenty of money, extra money. But I just want to point out
But they won't owe us money retroactively.
No,
this year.
it's too complicated.
But the water rates would eventually go down.
All the way back to 2013, yeah.
Oh, they would.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
another call. Quickly, you're on the air. Go ahead. We got like 1 minute left. Go ahead, caller.
Yeah.
Quick.
I'm sorry I gave you the third degree. Yeah, this is Chris. About the water situation. Sorry I gave you the third degree because I know you gentlemen are trying to come to an agreement, but Merced had put into place, I've seen in the paper, a $500 fine for people that are wasting water, and I think that's good because I've seen people just filling up big pools in their front yards and just letting the water out.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. I appreciate the phone call. That's a good point.
Yeah,
$500 fine.
That's a state one.
Yeah, but that's not right. $500 right off the bat. I think you get like a warning and then a small fine. It could go up to $500.
But the city has its own fine and warning and all that. It's been in place for many years.
Separate from the state.
Yes, and I don't believe a chartered municipality is going to have the effect that the state. They're just doing it in the areas that don't already have a program in place.
Why are you doing this? If you're not running for office, why are you doing this?
Because I live in this community and I see my neighbors suffering, and I see people around me and their houses and their beautiful lawns and their beautiful landscapes are going to go to seed, and they're struggling to get their groceries, their PG&E bills going up, their gas bills going up, everything's going up, and I see they're doing it the wrong way to charge us the biggest price for the least amount of benefit to the people, and I'm asking myself, that doesn't make any sense. And they're trying to grow in another 20 square miles, and they're saying they're not going to use this plant to grow out in 20 square miles. Please, don't say that. They're just trying to pull the wool over our eyes. So besides that 621-8000 number, which is a city, and talk, they would love to hear from you at the City Hall. But call 485-1719, 559-485-1719, or go to lowerwaterbill.com. That's lowerwaterbill.com, and look at our website and keep us in touch. Thank you.
All right. Doug Vagim, always good to see you. Come back anytime.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate
Hey, Doug, thank you. All right. Stay put. We're not done yet. Back here on Monday with another edition of Connect with Me. Hope you have a great weekend. By the way, Dennis Hart will be here on Monday for the full hour. We'll see you then. Have a good one.
Do you like me?
Just like me.
Like MeTV Fresno on Facebook. Get the latest news, interact with others, watch videos, become a fan of me. Exclusively brought to you by Ventura TV.